Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, says president has an alcoholic's personality and much more in candid interviews. This woman is so stupid. Out of all the, I don't like any of the White House staffers. Her, I dislike the most, okay? I just do. She's full of shit. She's up to no good. She's a Kirk loyalist, okay? But she's been involved in almost every Republican campaign going back to Reagan, okay? So she's part of the interior problem of the filth. So, but Trump does not have the personality of an alcoholic. What I hate about this kind of statements is everybody thinks they understand the personality of an alcoholic. Everybody that doesn't have an alcohol problem, and you don't. You do not. You do not. I am a recovering alcoholic. Believe me, you do not. I understand addiction hurts families, it hurts everybody involved, okay? But you don't understand the personality, because what is at work here, especially with alcohol, again, it's called the spirits for a reason. And does the spirits get a hold of everyone? No, there's many people that can drink normally. I have nothing against alcohol. I don't, because there's people that can normally drink and, you know, have at it. You know, but there's people that it gets a hold of you. And in the beginning, it gives you this confidence and this comfortability and, oh, I can do anything as long as I have this, okay? But that's only temporary, because as soon as that alcohol gets a hold of you and you're in the vicious trap, the vicious cycle that just repeats over and over again, that, oh, I'm this horrible person, I keep drinking and I can't stop, but I'm going to blame the whole world. That's the personality of the alcoholic. It's this, because ego, everybody thinks ego means, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean inflated, overly confident, like, you know, in the unhealthy confidence level, okay? Ego with the alcoholic, like I've said that when I got to AA, God, you're already stripped from the identities and ego. You're just like naked. That's why God's able to work with you. You just don't realize it at that moment. But you know, you go into Alcoholics Anonymous, you hate being there, you know, you think it's all bullshit. And so because the ego and identities are stripped away, that the spirits created, really, the spirits of alcohol created, God starts rebuilding and transforming and recovering. And yeah, that's what he does in the mind, in the heart, okay? And so because the ego and the identities, the false identities all get stripped away, then you're forced to look at your naked self. You're like, oh, I'm just a big king baby. That's really alcoholics, they're king babies. King babies. Blaming the whole world, never looking at themselves, but at the same time, what they don't really ever, sometimes they will, tell the world is, I'm just this horrible person. And they overinflate that, what a horrible person they are. And sometimes they're I mean, I'm not saying they're angels, but some of the best people in the world are recovering alcoholics, really. And not because they are, it's because they walk with God every day, and we rely on God every day. And so that rigorous honesty thing is hard in this world, but we have this life and death thing that, and we have to stay as close to that, you know, staying there as possible. So we rely on God every day. Trump is nowhere close to this. Trump has a confidence that's rooted in doing the right thing. That's a healthy confidence. Alcoholics don't have that. God, it comes later after God's, you know, rebuilt you, but then we always have to be careful not to go. We're always mindful of the ego, because it's the thing that gets us in trouble. See, once you take away the alcohol, that the alcohol itself, the actual bottle, is only 5% of the problem. The rest of the problem is the exorcism. of, of the demons. It is. And so that doesn't mean then you can drink again, though, because that's always like a portal that can get a hold of you again. But once you take away the alcohol, then it's the looking at oneself and seeing all of these attachments and identities you put on, that you have, that are not a part of you, and how you have been, filling this bucket. That's how I always explain it. Think of a bucket with a hole at the bottom, and you keep trying to fill the bucket, because then you'll feel okay, and you use alcohol to do it, but all the while it never fills because there's a hole at the bottom of the bucket. What the 12 steps do is God is replaced there. God is put in that place, and that's what fills. And that doesn't go through the bucket, because God just gets rid of the bucket altogether. He's in here. He transforms the heart. He transforms the mind. Again, he takes all the credit. No recovering alcoholic would say they had anything to do except that they showed up. So he doesn't even have anything close to the personality of an alcoholic. But this stupid woman, because her father was an alcoholic, she thinks she knows. No, she doesn't know. Okay? She's not very bright anyway, okay? She's just not. Again, recovering alcoholics, we walk with God every single day. God lets us know who these people are. She's just up to no good. But this was a stupid thing for her to say, because he's not even close to the personality of an alcoholic. But I get tired of people that aren't alcoholics thinking that they understand the mind of an alcoholic. You do not. You can't even begin to understand it. Believe me, because people that are recovering, we've had to look at every layer, every identity. We've had to uncover every piece of all of the spirits. Because see, once the alcohol gets a hold of you, it's no longer fun. It's just this horrible place that's a repeating cycle over and over again that you want out of, and you can't. It now is controlling you. It's like a possession in a way. Just not the type of possession you would see in The Exorcist, okay? But it's like a possession. And it creates all these identities. And so once it has a hold of you, it doesn't need to give you the fun that it was giving you in the beginning, because now it owns you. So that's why we have to end up surrendering to God and admitting defeat, is so God exorcises all of the demons out. He does. It's nothing like what you see in the movies and, Carrie or The Exorcist or any of that stuff. It's a stripping away of all the identities, because all the identities that alcohol placed there are the spirits. So that's why the recovering alcoholic understands the ego so well, because it started with the ego that created the false identities. An ego doesn't always mean an confidence inflation. In the active alcoholic's life, it's this constantly seeing oneself so badly that it's usually not accurate, and it's this beating oneself up many times, to get attention, but never wanting to truly uncover those layers of identity that really don't belong to you. And so when God rips them all away, it's like you're naked. And that's why it's this rebuilding process. And so part of that rebuilding process is that God instills in you himself. And that is what then fills that hole where we used to put alcohol. And in that case, you will go on to have a confidence that is rooted in doing the right thing. But I wouldn't expect two stupid people that are up to wickedness and serving the spirits to understand this.